الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I've got this stream playing in my ears twice.
Oh, probably got the YouTube going, huh?
I don't even know where it is. There we go. Sorry. All right, alhamdulillah,
bro. What's going on?
Walaikum salam. Brother Jake back in the house.
Yeah,
After
man.
a long time of absence. How you doing, bro?
Good, alhamdulillah. How's everything?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Just needed to get this out of the way. We've got a mutual brother who's been telling us off for not getting this done sooner.
Yeah.
So yeah, as you've probably guessed from the thumbnail, it's going to be a quote-unquote a deconstruction video. What's motivating this specifically is that the gentleman in question has done a quote-unquote deconstruction video of the two of us. I've not watched that yet. I've got an idea of the kind of stuff he's come out with. Have you watched the one he did on you yet?
Yeah, I watched the one he did on me. Did I watch the one he did on you? I'm not sure. I think I watched parts of it, but not the whole thing.
Yeah, I do. After this, I do plan on watching it and going through it and maybe do like chunks rather than one of these super long ones. But today we've got about an hour where we're just going to sort of go through the whole truth, why I left Islam, number one, because apparently he's done a couple. So maybe we can watch them as well and see the new and updated versions, I guess. But
yeah,
let's have a look. How do I do this now? There we go. Oh, and by the way, look at these fancy new. Oh, what? Oh, there we go. Look at that.
Oh, that's a new
flex. I know. Isn't that cool?
Oh,
just get ready. Just get ready. or if you want, you can rule the roost.
Is there anything you can do about playing his video without seeing his face, or we can't do that? That's not. We didn't get there yet.
Well, we could just like scroll down to the comments. That's one option.
Yeah.
But yeah. Let's see what going on here. I think I'm at the beginning.
How long is the video?
38 minutes. So we'll
okay.
We're probably not going to be able to watch all of it, but we can maybe just do this in a few series or something. Yeah. Get through and just see what he says, inshallah. But let's jump into it. Bismillah.
I grew up in such a world, in such a family, and I believed very firmly in it. Don't get me wrong, it was not all about hate and intolerance. I criticize Islam very harshly and very bluntly today, but behind this person, who seems to be an enemy of Islam, there lies a background of a firm believer who loved what he did. It was so much about love and devotion. It was very much about the peace that I felt inside when I was a part of it. I will tell you my story about Islam. I will tell you how much I believed in it, and how much I loved believing it. But I will also tell you how much it made me hurt. I will tell you about the things that made me doubt every now and then, and how I dismissed those doubts. And I will tell you about how my faith, the only thing that meant anything to me at that time, fell apart entirely at the end, leaving me in desperation, disbelief, and anger. As far as I knew them, part of a Sunni Sufi sect that was located in Turkey, but they also had a very, very strong presence in Germany, especially around the place we lived. It was a bit weird. I grew up in that family, but I can remember from my very early childhood that my parents would listen to music, and they had this stereo system at home, which was very nice and popular back then. Later, not much later, they totally abandoned the whole music thing because they consider music haram. They consider it forbidden in Islam. It is actually what scholars and sources tell us is that music is forbidden in Islam. And one hadith even tells us that near the end times there will be more female singers, and that's something very, very bad. Anyway, my parents were part of the sect. When we were still little children, my parents would take me to that sect very often, but my brother and me, we never wanted to go. We still didn't want to go until until I became religious, and I will come to that later. I grew up in Germany, and I went to an upper grade of schools in Germany, one where the presence of immigrants is much less than in the first regular grade where everyone is. My relations were mostly with German people, with German friends, with German teachers, but the impact of my Turkish Muslim background had impacts on me. For example, even if I considered those people to be my friends, and even if I respected my teachers at school, I would always have this thing on my mind that they are Germans and Christians and infidels. There's a word called gavur in Turkish, which comes from Persian.
Do you ever think like that when you just like with people? Do you go, oh, these guys are infidels?
No.
Like
never.
Everyone in my family's an infidel. Like they're all non-believers, and like I'm just with them, and I do dawah, and I I'll talk to them and like just be normal. Like I'm never thinking like bloody kafir. Like,
No, yeah. When I converted, that I didn't change my mindset about these people. They're so terrible. They're still my family.
Yeah. I'm just wondering as well, because like most of the Muslims I've met as well don't seem to have that mentality either. Like they do what they do, and they're interacting with people, and they're quite normal. They're not. They're not
you don't lose your mind. You know what I mean?
SubhanAllah.
Yeah, I think he just has something going on.
Allah Alam.
Version, and is derived from the word for infidels, which is kafir in Arabic. So it is basically a slur for people who don't believe in Islam or who don't believe in God. I can remember my father using that word.
Slur. So when they call it a slur, like the proper meaning of it is just to cover up, isn't it? Like to hide the truth.
Yeah, exactly.
So a kafir in particular is someone who covers the fitr or covers the heart from the truth. And so it's descriptive. It's of exactly what they would identify as. He identifies as someone who doesn't believe in Islam.
Yeah.
Obviously, we see Islam as true, and so we say that there's a covering up of truth here. I don't know. There was something on Twitter. Did you see it as well? Not long ago. Someone was calling it a racist slur.
No, I didn't see that, but that's wild.
Yeah, there was a whole debacle on Twitter because someone Googled it, and apparently in South Africa they've accommodated the word, and they use it as a derogatory term for black people.
What?
And and somehow this person, but
that's crazy.
Besides the point.
Yeah, I don't know.
Word very often. I can remember probably every Muslim family that I have ever seen use that word, especially in the West, when they refer to the normal people outside, the Christians and religious people and so on. So while I was friends with those people, and while those people were my respected teachers, I always had in the back of my mind this thing that they were Germans and infidels, So the respect that I had for them was never the same as the respect that I had for Muslim people. So even though I was a good kid, I still had my Turkish Muslim background. I had problems such as the Turkish view on children, the Islamic view on children. When you are in the West, it is pretty normal that your parents take care of you very much outside of the house and inside. That they provide you with the money that you need, that you can eat anything outside, that you can buy everything. I didn't have those things. German schools mostly have bakeries with very, very nice smelling things, but that was always forbidden for me. So I had,
what's he saying there? He's saying that it's normal for. What's that? Well, let's recap. So what I took from that,
just all over the place, man.
What I took from that is he thinks that like Western or German in particular here, families, it's normal for them to just take care of their children and give them everything that they ever asked for.
Yeah. I mean, the way he's talking about non-Muslims, he's saying, "Oh, I didn't look at them the same. I looked down on them." That's your problem, bro. Like, how are you going to put that on Islam just because you had some kind of like, I don't know, inferiority complex or something crazy going on where you were looking at everybody in your society, you're looking down upon them because they're not Muslim. And I don't know, dude, that's weird. I would just look at it as an opportunity to speak to people. Talk to them.
Well, we even have the example of the Prophet Muhammad with was it his uncle Abu Talib? Was it Abu Talib?
Yeah.
He had love for him. He was a disbeliever. He died upon disbelief. And he was greatly heartbroken by the fact that he never embraced Islam. He didn't constantly go around going, "Oh, yeah, pesky kafir." It was quite the opposite. He had a
exactly. I mean, because even you have the verse in the Quran that says that you can't guide the ones that you love. You see, so that's assuming that you love people that are not guided. You see what I'm saying? And it has to do with that story and other people that the guidance is only with Allah. It's not the Prophet alayhi salam who guides people; it's Allah who guides. And So if you're able to love people that are not guided, that shows that this guy is way off base. I don't know what he's talking
It's,
about.
yeah, I think it's sometimes you get these people. They have this. Sorry, my daughter's just come on. They have this knack of oversimplifying things and turning everything into a black and white. Like there's not layers in each. Like there's not layers in terms of how we see certain Muslims.
Yeah.
And layers in terms of how we see certain people who are not like Muslim, not upon Islam. And it's not a case that everyone who's a disbeliever just falls into the same category. So that someone like Tommy Robinson, for example, or this guy is equivalent to, say, someone who's quite open and, they are happy talking about religion and they don't disrespect you or what you love and stuff like that. And, there's grades to it. There's categories, so that you can't just lump them all into the same thing, and you don't even know who's going to be guided and who doesn't. So, like for example, if you'd have met me when I was a young whippersnapper running around being all atheist and thinking I was sick, maybe you would have thought the same thing of me back then.
Yeah, you would have thought I was crazy.
Yeah. Imagine he bumped into us when we were younger, and he was like, "Oh, bloody kafirs." and now look how the tables have turned. But yeah,
I mean, it's like I don't think about that with my mother. In fact, Islam teaches you to love your parents and take care of them, even if they're not Muslim.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think he just maybe, I don't want to blame it 100% on him, because maybe there were people who influenced him to think this way and act this way. I don't know. But I just think that he had a skewed version and understanding of the religion that is just not accurate at all.
He said he was in, his family were in a Sufi sect or something. Yeah. And I watched this video ages ago. I remember him mentioning this Sufi sect, but I want to know who the guy was that he was following. Who was his teacher? And what was this sect? Like, where was it? What was the name of it? Because it'd be interesting to know a few more details about the kind of things they got up to here, but he keeps it quite elusive. Let's see what else he says.
You very much outside of the house and inside, that they provide you with the money that you need, that you can eat anything outside, that you can buy everything. I didn't have those things. German schools mostly have bakeries with very, very nice smelling things. But that was always fun for me. So I had pretty much never money on me. And having no money on me led me also to do things like a robbery. I was involved in a robbery. It's a shame. I'm over it. I don't do such things anymore, gladly. Another disadvantage of growing up in a religious family, especially in a Muslim
involved in a robbery.
I know. Like non-Muslims never rob. I'll tell you a story. So we, when I was a non-Muslim back in the day, I think I was about 10, 11. I was pretty young. And we used to go play hide and seek and Tiggy build up and that. I don't know if you have them games over in the Americas. Tiggy build up. You ever play that?
No.
So it's like, Tig or tag. Yeah. It's like that. And every time you tig someone, they're on your team. Yeah. So we were playing that, and we used to play it in this big yard filled with lorries. It was like a big lorry depot. And it was sick because you could climb on top, inside, and underneath. It was like multi-layered. And the lad that was supposed to be like finding everyone, it wasn't. He was like breaking into this factory. And he was just like smashing the roof open with a stone. And so we all like come out wondering what he's doing. Ended up helping him. And we've just robbed this warehouse at the end of it. We were only like 10. And it was filled with alcohol. So we're pulling all of this alcohol out of it. There was a bunch of 10-year-olds. We've gone and got all the other kids off the estate, and the lot of us just spent the whole day getting wasted, just in the middle of this lorry depot. Like it's not like, I don't know. Like it kind of sounded like he was making an inference that because his family, it sounds more like it was to do with him being poor than it had anything to do with Islam. But he's like sort of making this distinction between the non-Muslims who they got everything they ever wanted. And because his parents didn't give him everything. I don't know. It's a bit weird.
Yeah.
Well, that was always forbidden for me. So I had pretty much never money on me. And having no money on me led me also to do... do things like a robbery. I was involved in a robbery. It's a shame. I'm over it. I don't do such things anymore, gladly. Another disadvantage of growing up in a religious family, especially in a Muslim religious family, is that I had no idea about sexual education. I mean, I learned all those things at school. Like, people around me would know many things already, but I didn't know anything. So I had to learn things from the TV, from school, from others. Maybe that's why, as soon as I got access to my own computer, which was a used one, I became a total internet geek. I would spend day and night on Wikipedia, jumping from article to article, and I still do that. I wasn't abiding by all the rules. I mean, in Germany, I also started to drink alcohol at a very early age. That was like 13 or something like that. My parents found out about it. It was horrible. Well, I endured some things. Like, when I was out for too long, sometimes my mother would beat me, and that is considered very normal in Muslim culture, that children can be beaten. I mean,
I'd get beats. Like, who didn't? If I was a bit too naughty, I used to get my mum would pull the slipper out. My dad, he had this thing with his belt. He used to get his belt and snap it. And and I'd get slapped with a belt.
As soon as you hear the noise, you start running.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know why he's going on like non-Muslim families have never.
Yeah, and he's saying he did the robbery because he was poor and he had no money in his pockets, and then he's drinking alcohol at 13.
I know it doesn't sound much like a Muslim.
It's not. Yeah, and everything I'm hearing right now is nothing to do with an intellectual problem or impediment with the religion.
Yeah,
it's all personal problems, family. He's poor. He's doing these, sins or bad things. So we haven't seen anything yet, really, as to for me, a justification for leaving the religion. Yeah, maybe we'll find it.
And no one ever told him nothing about sex or
women. I mean, come on, man.
That's based on Islam, and it's also been known that older people who take care of younger people hit them every now and then. But I'll come to that point later. Then came the news. My parents, obsessed with their...
And so the way he goes on, it's like parents are commanded to go full smackdown on the children, go in with the elbows and that.
Yeah, he's making himself... I mean, I don't want to belittle it, but he's making himself seem like he was an abuse victim or something. Like he's been abused by his parents.
Sect told us that we are moving to Turkey permanently. I didn't want it, but I had no choice. I had no say in this. Eventually, we moved to Turkey, where my parents told us that it would be much better. We would live in a much better place because Turkey is a predominantly Muslim country, which is better for us Muslims to live in, instead of living in Germany, where we Muslims are not supposed to live. That's actually an Islamic way of thinking. In Islam, Germany and European countries, non-Muslim countries, are considered a Darul Harb, which means a land of war, a land where Islam doesn't rule, a land where Islam is not dominant. You're not supposed to live in those countries except if you really have to, for financial reasons, for work, or for education, or for jihad in the sense of proselytizing. So in Germany, my view on people was very much influenced by my parents and their views, by Islamic views. I mean, the word that I associated with Christians the most was pigs, and that was not a coincidence, because that was what I was taught. I was taught that Christians are bad, that they are not our friends, and everyone is jealous of Turks and of Turkey, and they are only nice to us because they are afraid that the Ottoman Empire might rise again. But Christians were
So he said that Christians are pigs.
What's the verse? It says, Allah does not forbid you from befriending those who do not fight against you.
Yeah, that's in chapter 60, somewhere about verse 6, somewhere over there. But so his parents, according to what he's saying, I don't know, maybe his parents would have, who knows, maybe his parents would tell a different story and say, no, this guy was just off the wall. I don't know. But taking him at his word, he's claiming that his parents said, oh, we have to leave here. All these Christians are pigs. And, oh, the Turks are the best. And they're just jealous of us. And because we had the Ottoman Empire and afraid that we might come back and subjugate them. I mean, come on, man. And it is. So I have a friend that actually lives in Turkey. And there is in Turkey, and historically, they do have a strong sense of nationalism. I don't want to generalize and say everybody is this way, but I have been told that, there is this mentality that sometimes they think they're better than other people. Not even just non-Muslims. It has nothing really to do with non-Muslims. Even other Muslims like Arabs and other Muslims that are not Turks. So that might be true, but again, has nothing to do with the religion. This is what? Okay, somebody told you something that you didn't like when you were a kid. So what? Grow up and get over it. It has nothing to do with the religion.
But it's this verse here as well. It's obviously, here we go. I'm just pulling them up. So Allah does not, it's the one, chapter 60, verse 8. Allah does not forbid you from those who do not fight you because of religion and do not expel you from your homes, from being righteous towards them and acting justly towards them. Indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves those who act justly. So it's like, it's not this like blanket, hate all the disbelievers,
No.
blah, 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 blah. Like, I don't know, man. Yeah, it's just, for me, it's, again, like you mentioned, it's not really rational. It's funny because I know for a fact that when he's been doing the deconstruction videos of us, he's going to have mentioned something along, because I hear it all the time. Oh, they became Muslim because of some sort of trauma, or blah, 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 blah. And it's funny because no, I became an atheist because of trauma. Like I became an atheist after my father passed away. And it was because of that. And there was like a sort of mitral theism that came first. And then that led to apathy later on, which led to atheism. It wasn't until I started feeling better that, like, you know, I turned around. And Islam was the cause of that turning around, of my improvement. And it seems to me to be the case here that we could make the same argument for this guy. That the only reason he became an apostate was because of trauma. And it's funny because it can be switched around, because they love trying to say that's why people become Muslim.
Yeah.
Rather than coming to the conclusion that maybe that's why people become atheists.
Yeah, they want to say, oh, it's a psychological thing, emotional, and oh, he did the same thing. I think he mentioned it in your video, but he mentioned in my video, it wasn't, he actually admitted, and I think he was in my video, he was actually struggling to really find a way to critique what I was saying, because mine was mostly, the way I was explaining it was intellectual. But what he said with me was, oh, well, Jake just thought that Catholicism was wrong, and therefore somehow Islam was true, which I didn't say anything like that. So he just totally misconstrued my story. But what we're seeing here, folks, is a guy who, I don't know, for all appearances, maybe had some traumatic events. He had to move from Germany to Turkey. He didn't want to go. He didn't understand why he was going. He was being forced by his parents. His parents are telling him, oh, we're Turks. We're the best.
He's on the rob. He's on the rob.
Yeah,
he's a horny teenager. Just got access to a used computer.
Yeah.
And he's
probably spending too much time doing things he shouldn't be doing. He started drinking alcohol at 13. I mean, so
trouble child.
He's all over the place. Yeah, but I don't know. Let's see what else he's got to say.
Better than Jews. No, I'm not supposed to say that. I learned that it's better to say that Jews are worse than Christians, because I shouldn't in any way say that Christians are better than something. That's wrong. Well, my view on Jews, I can say very clearly.
What? What is he talking about?
I don't even know.
You even have the verses in the Quran. It's in chapter 3 where Allah talks about the people of the book. He says they're not all the same. And he compares them, and he says, look, these are better than these ones. And he tells you about them. And in line with the verse that you just brought, right? He's making it so extreme that he's saying you can't say that Christians are better than the Jews. You have to just say that the Jews are worse.
Worse.
Yeah. As if that's any different. It actually winds up meaning the same thing, that one is better than the other. Oh boy, man.
Yeah, it just ends up being semantics, isn't it? It's I was having this debate with someone who couldn't get it in their head. What was it about? Like, I was trying to explain to him how if you're negating something, that's still a claim. If you say that something is not the case, and you're making like an absolute statement that it is the case that this is not, that's still a claim. And he couldn't get it in his head that a negation is still a claim.
Yeah.
It's still a proposition that has a truth value. It's either true or it's false. And how if you just shuffle the sentence around, it still says the same thing but ceases to be a negation. So, for example, if you were to say that Allah exists, you're saying the statement Allah exists is true. And if you say Allah does not exist, you're saying the statement Allah does not exist is true. And both of these, if you hold one or the other, that you believe both of them to have a truth value, and the negation of that to be false. And so the negation of the atheistic, hard atheist, the atheist proper claim, is to say that the statement that Allah does exist is false. Or a bit of bother. Yeah, but the point is that like they get mixed up with like semantics quite often, these people, and
Yep.
yeah, they don't see how it's how things can be synonymous.
That the anti-Semitism in the Islamic world, in the Muslim world, is not based on what Israel does and the Israel-Palestine conflict right now. I mean, that might have triggered something, but the anti-Semitism is a total natural thing in Islam. That's mainstream Muslim culture. Muslims hate Jews for no reason. The majority of Muslims never.
Anti-Semitism is normal. Muslims hate Jews. This is everything. Really, you know what he's doing is he's trying to, and I can't call the guy a liar because maybe it was his experience with his close family, but he's trying to say that and he's trying to extrapolate that on everybody else and say, oh, you know, anyone who's not a Muslim is an enemy and we hate everybody. He's trying to paint this sort of picture that you find sometimes even on mainstream news and mainstream media, where they want to make it seem like this is how Muslims think and how Muslims act. Yeah. No, it's not true. In fact, the Jews, for many of the Jews, they actually lived much better lives in Muslim countries than their Christian counterparts. You know, the Jews in Spain fled from Spain away from the Christians to Morocco and lived there for several centuries, several hundred years.
700 centuries then.
Yeah, no, that would be crazy. Yeah, well. Several hundred years until this, you know, state of Israel was created, and then they migrated over there. You see, because I even went when I was in Morocco last month. There were a few cities that I went to in which you can still see the you know, like the Star of David that they have. The Star of David they have above the doors. I've got pictures of them, and they lived there. They had a synagogue and everything.
What's the Tobias Singer? He talks about this quite a lot. It's like this trope that like Christians were this super benevolent group. And you know, and they were always super nice to everyone. It was like everyone must love, like you see in that recent debate that happened.
Yeah.
With DW, the way he goes on, and it's like, no, it's not all what happened.
Yeah.
And the Christians could be extremely brutal, and it, you know, it's not. But we're not going to go and do what he's doing now and say that they all were. Of course, there was, you know, the benevolent among them. Of course, there was the passionate or the merciful, but it's not like a black and white kind of thing. And it's the same thing with the Muslims. Of course, like, there are some dark parts of history where the Muslims did terrible things, but we're not going to go and say now that that's all that they are, or that this is innate within that. Be that for the Christians or for the Muslims. It's there's a bit of nuance there, but it's. I don't know. It's a bit like autistic, isn't it? Like just sort of.
Yeah, just hasty generalization. I mean, I don't know, man. It seemed like he had a bad childhood, and he's just upset. Like right now, to me, he just seems like a big baby. To be honest with you.
See what else he says.
Never met a Jew, but they hate the Jews because that's what they are taught. They are taught.
They've never met the Jews.
They've never met the Jews, but they hate them, even though, like I said,
no reason,
Jews that lived in Muslim countries for a long time and had a much better life. I don't know, man.
Taught to hate Jews because they killed the prophets. They are told to hate Jews because the Quran condemns Jews. They are told to hate Jews because Jews are traitors. And lastly, the Israel problem. If you grow up in a Muslim family, you are taught that behind every bad thing that might be...
Wouldn't this sort of apply to the Christians as well? Because that was sort of the main reason why a lot of the Christians persecuted the Jews, wasn't it? Because of the things that they said about Jesus alayhi salam. They refused to accept that.
Well, and they think that he killed. They were responsible for him dying. So, you know, they said, oh, well, the Jews killed God. You know, they had this
Yeah.
accusation, you guys killed God, and I mean,
And
look
they
at
they didn't think too well of Jesus either, did they? Like it.
Or his mother. You know, they totally disrespected Mary, Mother Mary. So yeah, and you actually find this in especially in the Protestant reformers, like Martin Luther is known for this. You go read some of the stuff he said about Jews. In fact, I was reading a quote that somebody sent me the other day, where he said, "Oh, if a Jew wants to come up to me and get baptized, you know how I'm going to baptize him? I'm going to hang him by a rope and throw him off a bridge." And then I say, "This is his baptism." I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" The just absolutely vile things.
Martin
that
Luther
these
said
guys
that.
Yeah,
That's
it's
funny.
crazy. Yeah, I'll send it to you later, the quote, because I don't want to waste our time looking for it now. But he says some crazy things. Even they say to a large extent that he influenced his thought and his writings influenced the Nazis and Hitler.
Yeah, because there was a lot, because all of these things feed into each other, and if obviously you've got this sort of growing movement that's happening in Europe, and the phrases and the words that this person's using are spreading quite a lot, then that feeds into this zeitgeist, or the spirit of the time, and then obviously you get the development of the people like Hitler and the Nazi Party that follow from that, and then the consequences that sort of derive. But you can't really even use it like Islam and point at them in any way with these kind of things. Like the roots of it are definitely within the Christian West, and
then we're not going to turn around and say, "Oh,
all of these Christians hate all of these all of the Europeans."
I'll say Christianity teaches.
They hate the Jews.
Yeah, Christianity teaches that you must hate the Jews. Well,
for no reason.
Yeah,
for no reason. They've never even met a Jew. They just hate the Jews.
Yeah, that's just so stupid, man. So irresponsible. It's just
because it's this kind of thing that feeds into that narrative. Because, like, I didn't watch the video, but what I did do, and I did make a little video off it, but it was a bit too, like, wow, this is getting weird. But I read the comments just to see, get an idea of what was going on in the video, and I filmed myself reading the comments, man, and it gets dark, like so quickly, and it's just 95% just dark, and people saying like some of the worst stuff you could think of. One woman was like sort of pitying me, and then she went from like being like all I can't believe it, blah, 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 blah. And then she just went, "Oh, and he's got a daughter. I hope he doesn't behead her." And I was like, "It's what on earth is going on in like this person's head to jump from what she was saying to just, oh, he's gonna murder his daughter."
Yeah,
and
I mean, this guy here, he's jumping from bakery to robbery. He's all over the place himself.
Yeah, but this is the thing. It's when you oversimplify things to this degree, and
it's dangerous.
Yeah, because it feeds that.
He doesn't realize what he's doing in this video is actually worse than anything he's claiming. He's the one who's promoting this narrative now that this is what and it's just totally not true. Really.
Did you see that he did a poll once because he wanted to see? Oh no, because people say most of his subscribers are like Hindu Vata, like nationalists and that. He was like, "Oh, you think that all of my followers are Hindu Vata?" And then he shows his statistics, and like he's like, "Look, most of them are American." And then second place is like a huge chunk of India. And then the first place is the US is probably going to be a lot of the evangelicals that have been supporting him, and like David Wood followers and stuff like that. But yes, like it's either the majority is just like far right wing, ultra conservative, Indian or US nationalists.
Yeah. And oddly enough, the way he's describing that Muslims are talking about the Jews, the ones that support him, and like you're saying about your comment section, are the ones who would say those things or
About
have those
Muslims.
ideas about Muslims.
Yeah. Which
That's
is
the
exactly
ironic part.
I know.
It's like he just took off the jersey and put on another jersey, and now he's implementing or into this other thing where it's, oh, you know what? I love Jews now. I love Jews and Christians and Hindus now, but now I hate Muslims.
He's carried that same mentality over.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Because if you remember what he was talking about at the beginning, when he's talking about how he hated the kafir and blah, 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 blah. And in this video,
how he acts now.
It's the same. It's the same. But all he's done is
towards Muslims.
Yeah, he switched the enemy.
Exactly. That's what you can see a pattern now. This guy's behavior and mentality. Yeah.
That face matches the mentality.
Jews rule the world. Jews make all the problems. Jews cause all the wars, and so on. That's not just our family. You can see it anywhere. You cannot so easily see that if you are an outsider, if you are not a Muslim and you talk to Muslims. But
it's funny he says this as well, because most of the Muslims, whenever I hear them talk about issues with Zionism, they're always so anxious about like emphasizing, listen, we're talking about Zionists here, not Jews. We're talking about, and that, like, every time, even when I was a non-Muslim, whenever the subject matter was coming up, it was always like they were dead nervous about being portrayed as something that they're not trying to come across as. They're like, no. We're anti-Zionist. We're not anti-Jew.
Yeah, and did you hear what he said? He said he just made that other statement. He said all the time he was saying it was Muslims. Now he said, and you don't see that outside of Muslims.
Which
well,
is
you do. It's completely false. The whole thing we were just talking about with the Christians and Martin Luther and what you were mentioning about how this was basically born out of Christian Europe. I mean, what are you talking about?
Bro, you know, in my estate.
What about the skinheads? I don't know if you guys.
No. I was just gonna mention them, bro. So on my estate growing up, we had a huge problem with racism. Alhamdulillah, it's not like this no more. On the estate where I am, but it's mostly because it's been a bit gentrified. Like everyone's sort of sold the council houses and made a load of money. So like a lot of the poor people have had to go to other areas. But it was a council estate, which I don't know what you call them, ghettos or something. But it was like government funded housing for poor people.
Yeah, we call it Section 8.
Section 8.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, well, Section 8s then, and we lived in a rough area. Like the majority of people there were being raised by like single parent mothers. Fathers were problem people in and out of prison. My dad being one of them. Addicted to drugs, alcohol. You know, there was a lot of problems, and it was majority white. And if anyone of color moved on to the estate, they got bullied off. They had all sorts happen to them. People would post fireworks through their letterbox or smear dog poo on their door handles, or put their windows through, or like they'd be terrorized, or they'd pour petrol all over the garden so it stunk, you know. And it was quite brutal for people with like they moved on there, and it was that sort of common that one of my friends, his dad on Halloween would dress up as a skinhead. He would wear the dungarees, he would put a Nazi symbol on his head, and he'd go to the pub like it were nothing and not have to worry about someone stopping him. You know, because this was like in the 90s, man. It wasn't as politically correct as it is today. And like he could just do that. And they had the Nazi tattoos and that. And like it was being anti-Semitic was quite common in these places, or just being racist to anyone that's not white, Christian, British. Was quite normal. Like,
and I find it strange too, because he was living in Germany. It's like he didn't know the history.
I know.
Newsflash: Muslims were not the ones who caused all those problems that were going on.
And there's a thing with Germany as well, that after the war, they've gone to this point where they like heavily overcompensate because of this social guilt from the things that happened in the past. They all continually feel like somewhat guilty about it, and so they and when I was traveling, I used to meet quite a lot of Germans, and they would speak about this. The ones that I met, obviously it's anecdotal, it's not every German, but we did end up getting into quite a lot of conversations about the impact of being Germany and the global view of Germans and how that affects Germans when it comes to the way they interact with foreigners now as well.
Mhm.
They try to be more welcoming because they want to prove, no, we're not what we used to be. We're not, we're not our forefathers. We're not the Nazis. And
Yeah.
so maybe that's also played into this, his sort of experience with Germans as well.
Yeah, but the thing is, he says, well, it's not like that outside the Muslim community. It's just Muslims who hate the Jews. And it's like, come on, bro. You're living in Germany. You don't know the history. Who was responsible for the Holocaust? It wasn't Muslims, mate. What are you talking about? So, I don't know. It's a bit strange, but yeah, I can see it's actually quite eye-opening that he had this mentality as a Muslim and he brought it over to his atheism. And now how he is towards Muslims, and all the people who are supporting him have this similar mentality, but he doesn't see it. It's like he seems that when he's seeped in a particular mindset, he can't zoom out and see what's going on. But he's really just, all he's done is just created a different enemy.
Yeah. Just put the bad guy hat onto someone
And by
else.
the way, this is all psychology. We're doing like a psychological profile on him. Nothing so far has been anything to do with Islam or there being a God or nothing like that. It's all emotional and circumstantial, having to do with family and people he was around. So
yeah. It's funny though, because my convert story that I did was like sort of like a little bit similar. So I was just sort of explaining the path, and I wasn't going into details too much. But mine was only like a little 20-minute video, and I wanted to keep it short and sweet and succinct because there was a lot to tell in that time. And I'm going to be interested now to see what he says about that video, because that wasn't like supposed to be a proof of Islam. It was just like, hey,
your story.
I'm new to YouTube. This is me. It was like my second video, and it was just to give people a context about who I was, not to like, here's Islam, bam, this is the proof.
Yeah, it was not like an apologetic video.
No. Yeah, it was an introductory to me. Whereas like this guy's, going through his arguments as to why Islam is false and whatever. I don't know how many. I'm guessing he's done videos before this, because at the beginning he introduces it like he had already done quite a lot. So I'm gonna make that assumption there. But yeah, like he's saying the whole truth. The whole truth. Why I left Islam. It's not like, it gives the impression that this is specifically the reasons. But yeah, Allahu Alam. Let's see what else he says.
You can see it very, very well. And I'm exposing this here. If you are a Muslim, that if you go among Muslims, there is this extreme hate against Jews, not only against Zionists, not only against Israel. There's this hatred of Jews. In my example, we had a neighbor, a very, very kind woman who was one of Jehovah's Witnesses. But my mother apparently somehow mistook her for a Jew. And she told us only that we should stay away from her because she's a Jew. When 9/11 happened, I was almost 11 years old. My mom called me to the living room and we basically saw the second plane live on TV. I remember I felt fear and sadness watching that happen, but my emotions were challenged very.
Didn't the Prophet interact with Jews?
Yeah, of course.
It wasn't like stay away from them. Like they lived in his community.
Yeah, in fact, when there's a famous hadith that when a Jewish woman died, and they were carrying the body, and they started coming and they were walking past the Prophet. The Prophet was sitting down and he stood up, and they said to him, "Oh, Prophet, like what are you doing?" And he said, "That's a nafs. That was a person who died." So he actually stood up out of respect for the Jewish woman who died. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it seems like to me, because I don't want to call the guy a complete liar. It seems like his family just has some weird stuff going on. Yeah.
You quickly, because the next moment my mother told me that they blamed it on Muslims, but it was not Muslims, that it was the Jews and the Americans together in a conspiracy. The next day I went out, I saw other Muslims who talked about the same thing. We talked about how it was actually Jews and how America made it. I mean, you might think that all those people, especially among Muslims, who spread conspiracy theories about 9/11, might have researched something and that's why they believe in such crap. Well, they didn't. They just started talking about those things as soon as it happened. The majority of Muslims that I knew, younger or older, they were either happy about 9/11, they ignored it because they said things like, well, Muslims are killed every day. What is with a few people killed in those Twin Towers? Or they said it was most probably Jews. Or they said it was staged by the US government, or also that it was done by people who were trained by the CIA and by Mossad to make Islam look bad. Those things started on day one. Then with Germany, we moved to Turkey. Well, in Turkey, my parents told me that everything will be much better. It's funny, in Germany, I wasn't allowed to stay out after 9 or 10. I would still do. But in Turkey, I was allowed. Well, in Turkey, we moved to the capital city, Ankara. And it was filthy. It was disgusting. No respect for women. No respect for anyone. People don't have respect for each other. People are total fucking bastards to each other. I went to a school.
Whoa.
Yeah, he just elevated real quick. You can see this guy is so angry. He's very angry in the video. Is it just me?
No, I'm getting that. Like, because it went from like 0 to 100.
Yeah, man, he just elevated real quick.
It's like with the weird, awkward sort of laugh 1 second.
Yeah,
and then he's like, the F and B's, F's and B's,
man.
B's and P's and D's.
Where the teachers would beat the students. I have never seen such a thing in Germany. I came to a disgusting.
What?
He said they were beating the students. Oh my god.
So the thing is that this was really common in the West for a very, very, very long time.
Yeah, I mean,
like
ask your parents if you know anybody that has parents who went to Catholic school as a kid.
The ruler,
yeah,
the cane on the fingers and on the hands, and like
talk about the nuns. The nuns used to wear. My mom tells me the story that one of the nuns at her school used to wear a ring on her finger, and she used to walk around. We used to walk around, and she would crack people right over the head with a huge ring on the head. Yeah. So I don't know where this guy's getting it from, man. I think he's in La La Land. Yeah,
but it's this rhetoric again. It's like whenever they talk about beatings, they always talk like the parents are commanded to go full smackdown. Like WWE, like choke slamming them and that, and like throwing them out of windows and like burning them with cigarettes, and like it's not like that at all.
Place where I thought it might be just that place, but that wasn't true. In the capital city, Ankara, the sect was again present. I saw people of the sect all the time. I made my first interactions with people in Turkey, with how they live, how they think. Well, the first impressions were they are mostly very, very ignorant. I mean, they have no basic knowledge of things. I mean, comparing one regular person in Germany to one regular person in Turkey, it was like German, Turkish, in terms of basic war.
See, he's got this inferiority complex.
Yeah, oversimplification. The Germans, and it's funny. It's funny because this is like exactly what the Nazis were saying. Yeah. The Germans are superior. They're the best. They're better than everyone. And like he's just reiterating that same thing. The Turkish are like subhuman. Yeah,
which is smarter. They're better looking. They're all of it. It's just
which is weird because he's Turkish. Isn't he? Is he Turkish?
And yet. He just got through complaining about how Muslims think they're better than Jews and how Turks think they're better than everybody else. But now he's saying, oh, I went there and my first experience, I could tell that Germans were just so much better than these people.
And he's trying to make a point here.
He just flipped them. The same thing he was criticizing the Turks and his parents for, he flipped and said the Germans are above these people. I mean, how does he not see this? He's so angry is he doesn't even see what he's doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm getting like super autism vibes.
Yeah.
Worldly knowledge. I made my first interactions with Turkish girls. Turkish girls are very weird, but for a very long time, I thought it's just the Turkish girls who are like very weird, who love every kind of attention, who totally throw themselves in the arms of predators. It's not their fault, It's how they are treated in society. It's how men treat them.
Wait. What did he just say? They throw themselves in the arms of predators? Is that what he said?
He did.
Run that back, dude. That's
right. It's like Turkish men are wolves. Like German, Turkish, what I mean? They have no basic knowledge. Worldly knowledge. I made my first interactions with Turkish girls. Turkish girls are very weird, but for a very long time, I thought it's just the Turkish girls who are like very weird, who love every kind of attention, who totally throw themselves in the arms of predators. It's not their fault, It's how they are treated in society.
They throw themselves in the arms of predators, but it's not their fault. This is how that society teaches him. Where is he getting this from?
I know it because
if anything, Muslim women are tended to be a bit more like sheltered and coddled. Well, they're not taught to be thrown in.
Well, this is the thing. So what he's saying is he's talking about a very Western way of like growing up. Like the girls when we were growing up, they would always seek the attention of older men. It was like if you were in school, it was difficult to get the attention of anyone your age because they were always like chasing older people. And it was just a really weird phenomena. And like you said, in Islam, that's hugely frowned upon. Like women are meant to have mahram with them. They can't just put themselves into situations where strange predator type men can take advantage of them.
Yeah, and it would never be encouraged. Even if it happened, it's not encouraged by other Muslims.
No, it's frowned upon.
Yeah,
because it's strange as well, because these are the same things that people like this guy critique Islam for. Not free mixing, overly conservative. You know, they protect their women. They make sure that there's always someone with them so that these terrible things can't happen to them.
Yeah, I mean, which one is it? You want to bring a critique? You're saying, oh, they want to be thrown into the arms of predators, and that's what they're taught. And then on the other hand, you want to say, oh, they're too sheltered. They're not allowed to drive. They can't work. They can't do this. They can't go anywhere by themselves. I mean, which one is it? You can't have it both ways. This is like a bipolar critique going on, man.
Yeah, we're not getting very far either. I've got another live stream.
What minute mark are we on now? What are we about?
12 minutes.
12 minutes. So we're about what, third of the way through?
Yeah, something like that. Maybe we watch another. We'll see what he says next, and then we'll pause it there, and then I'll jump onto the other live stream.
All right, sounds good.
It's how men treat them in society. It's like Turkish men are wolves and Turkish women are sheep. And the general conception that women have to be more quiet, that they have to be silent, that they should be modest and stuff like that. I mean, I hated that word. Meanwhile, I literally hate that word, modesty. You know, because that's how a Muslim woman is supposed to be. She has to be modest. Otherwise, she's.
So how is it that she can be modest while throwing herself?
Yeah, what is he talking about? And he hates that word.
These two things just do not coincide.
That's what I'm saying. It's like. It seems like he's so emotional he doesn't even realize that he's contradicting himself. He doesn't even know what he's saying.
What he's doing is he's looking at the non-Islamic aspect of Turkey, because we can't forget here Turkey got heavily secularized.
Yeah, exactly. And he's associating his experience with Islam. This is what Islam is like. This is the pinnacle of it. It's not. You know,
he's a whore. Anyway, my Turkish wasn't that good. It was actually horrible. I didn't know what to do in Turkey. I tried to protect.
He keeps doing that mad little laugh.
Yeah, he does that like evil laugh at the end.
It just feels like randomly placed in and a bit forced.
She's a whore.
She's a whore.
Oh my god.
Anyway, my Turkish wasn't that good. It was actually horrible. I didn't know what to do in Turkey. I tried to protect my way to Germany because I thought I would go back to Germany eventually. But in order to have such a possibility in the future, I had to go to Germany and come back every once in 6 months. I discussed about it very often, but my parents deliberately made that possibility go away entirely by making it impossible for me to go to Germany within the first 6 months. So everything was lost, and I became rebellious. I started to study more and more things, and my rebellion, my anger with everything, made me align with communism in Turkey. I became part.
So he's admitting
he was angry, and listen, brother, you're still angry. You need to get some therapy, dude. This guy is still angry.
This is his therapy, I think. His YouTube channel is his therapy. It's his because there's the whole venting aspect of it, isn't it? You just get to go rah, say what you want, and then you get pure people just pat you on the back for it. And yeah. He loves it. Let's have a look.
Part of a revolutionary communist group. And I started to move further and further.
Every time, man.
He became part of a revolutionary communist group.
And then that little giggle. But this is just sort of, like, again, pointing out his tendency to extremism.
Well, that's right. It's like anything he gets into, he's hardcore.
Yeah, like he just flip-flops from one extreme to the other. And I've seen this quite a few times. Like you get some people who are like heavy far right, and if they then become Muslim, then they become heavy, like Khawarij types.
Yeah.
There was an interesting post as well that someone put. It's like, if everyone in the Ummah thinks, people like ISIS are Khawarij, then who does ISIS think the Khawarij are? like who are they? And like, I get the same kind of vibes from this guy. Like he's like, yeah, no, real Islam is this extreme version of it. And so, well, then who are the Khawarij? All these hadith that talk about the extremists and those who leave the religion because they go too far. They don't take the middle path.
Yeah.
Who are they? Who are they if it's not the ones we're pointing to as the Ummah generally?
Well, we're not going to get the answer from him, that's for sure.
Away from Islam. But that was not it. We moved finally to another city where my parents are still living. That's where the sect is mainly being operated. I, meanwhile, got more and more into communism, into revolutionary communism. It intensified more and more. But at the same time, I was always talking to my aunt in Germany, who was a bit older than me, and she was so lovely. She was like an older sister and like a friend to me. She was always there for me. She would send me things from Germany. Well, I talked with her all along. One day, I was totally shocked. I took a nap.
What happened there?
I have no clue, dude. It just spazzed out.
She was like an older sister.
Try it again.
It's because I think he speeded it up.
Okay, go ahead.
And like a friend to me. She was always there for me. She would send me things.
Oh, it always sounds so weird when I go from 2 times to 1. It sounds like he's talking in slow motion.
From Germany. She would talk to me online. She would call me. She was very free. My person was. She was a girl Western.
Right, one sec. Why did he zoom that up?
Maybe he said something personal and he wanted to kind of.
Free my person. She was a typical Western German person. She grew up there. She was a typical German Western person. She was very different. She was very different. Well, she was very different. She was a typical Western German. She would call me. She was a very free-minded person. She was a typical Western German person. She grew up there. She was a typical German Western person. She was very different. She was very different. Well, I talked with her all along. One day.
So I don't know why he sped that up. I think I remember this bit. So this is like a sad bit. And again, it's sort of linking to this sort of trauma that he's gone through. Let's see what he says. I've not got the bloody video on.
I was totally shocked. I took a nap during the day. I woke up, saw my mother crying. And then when I asked her what happened, she told me that my aunt was killed in Germany by her own husband. Honor killing, a Muslim thing. But she told me.
Honor killing, a Muslim thing. I mean, come on, dude. It's unbelievable.
No, it's sad. But I don't know, it's becoming a bit more clear now. Like, he just keeps associating everything bad that's happened in his life with Islam. Like, he wanted all these things. Islam was getting in the way of that, so he had to go on the rob. I blame Islam, instead of taking responsibility for the fact that he robbed. And his uncle murdered his wife. And rather than looking at the fact that, no, this man's acted as a vigilante, taking justice, quote unquote, into his own hands, like, he's not giving us any information about, like, what happened here, who this person was, or why he did what he did, and not that there's any justification for it. But he, like, all he's saying is because, it's a Muslim thing. Like, subhanAllah. Right, we're probably best leaving it there, I think, for the time being.
Yeah, that's probably good, because you don't want to keep the other people waiting too long.
But yeah, we're about 15 minutes in. I'll take a little screenshot of this minute or write it down, and we'll try and jump on and watch the rest of it. Yeah, it could be. I don't know if you're free later on. What are you doing today?
I'm not going to be doing any honor killings, that's for sure. But I'm going to be probably a little bit busy later. It depends. I'll message you.
Yeah, let me know. If not today, we'll do it another day, inshallah.
Yeah.
I've got a little mark of the timestamp, and
right.
I think we'll continue watching. That's annoying. Good, that's on 2 times speed, bro, and we only got through 15 minutes in an hour. But
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't know. The guy had a lot to say, so we had to comment on it.
but anyway, guys, it's been a pleasure. Jazakallah khair to subhanAllah, there's 211 people. I didn't even notice. There's a lot of people. Alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khair to everyone who's joined. If you've not subscribed already, please do subscribe by pressing the link, turn the bell on. Check out Jake's channel as well, the Muslim Metaphysician. It's a bit of a hard word to spell, but he's got it under his face there. So you can use that as a reference.
And I got it on my hat too, guys.
And then on his hat. And I'm going to put it into the description as well, inshallah, after this.
And check us out on Tap too.
Yeah, Thought Adventure Podcast. Blipping it. We're nearly at 10,000 subscribers. So head over there and subscribe to that as well. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
And there was actually a conversation we had with yours truly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And if you haven't watched that yet, you should definitely do so.
It's irrelevant.
Have I got that on here, actually?
It's irrelevant.
I did have... oh, no, it must be on the other one. We had the meme, didn't we? But now I've just got Martin Heidegger.
Oh, man.
100% wholesome. But anyway, guys, make sure to join us over at Thought Adventure Podcast and subscribe to the Muslim. I always do that. I always go the wrong way.
Yeah, I went the wrong way. I was like, oh, I gotta go this way.
But yeah, join us over there. Subscribe, follow us on social media. All of it, my stuff's in the description, and Jake's and the Thought Adventure Podcast. I'll put that into maybe a comment and I'll pin it, inshallah. So if you're not watching this live, you're watching this later on, be sure to check that out. But other than that, may Allah bless you all. And we'll see you next time, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam.